Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my latest review in my series of Pride Month celebration movie reviews. A series in which I bring on fellow movie YouTubers and friends to review major mark LGBTQ films throughout history that I haven't previously reviewed here on this channel before. And today we are reviewing But I'm a Cheerleader. So today I have asked the BS Review to come on over and help me in reviewing this camp classic from the 90s. So I'm going to let Brittany and Steven take it away and kick us off. So, over to y'all.
Hello and welcome to Pride Month. So Larry at LC Screen Talk invited us to do a collab with him this month. He is doing a bunch of LGBTQIA plus films and collabing with a bunch of other creators. And so thank you very much, Larry, for having us. For those of you who do not know who we are the BS Review. We're Brittany and Steven. We live in Texas and record lots of things about movies, TV shows, games, books, comics, all of the above. So if you want to check us out, I'm sure Larry will link our info for you. Today we are talking about But I'm a Cheerleader, which neither of us had seen before, so it was a new experience for us.
I actually hadn't even heard of this movie until before we saw Love, Simon. Our theater had played the trailer for this film, and I was like, that looks funny. And then less than a month later, Larry said, will you guys do this movie? So here we are to talk about it. If you've never heard of this movie, it is about a girl named Megan who her parents send her to a conversion therapy school to work the gay away. And from there, hijinks ensue.
This is a comedy film and a satirical film, which was very interesting. And this did come out, and I believe it was 1999. So it's a 90s edge of 2000s film, and it feels like a 90s edge of 2000s film. It is the epitome of that era. And the commentary was so funny in this. They're portraying something that's horrible and shouldn't exist, but they're having jokes surrounding it, and the fact that RuPaul is one of the conversion therapy people is just hilarious to me.
Yeah, I thought there was so many hilarious scenes where the people who are I've been converted and I would never do something so sinful, think about that hot lush. It's very hilarious the way every conversation goes between these characters.
Like Steven said, the plot of this film is Megan going to this conversion therapy camp, and hijinks ensue. And so there's, romances that happen, funny things that happen. It's hard to talk about the plot and not talk about spoilers, but I mean, it's essentially a love story, and it's a really interestingly done one. It's very kind of John Hughes-esque, especially towards the end, but it's done with such a different just cast of characters, which made it really refreshing. And I think all of the characters in this movie were just caricatures, but at the same time very original and unique. I mean,
for something that seems like it could be a pretty typical idea for an LGBT focused film, it is interesting. A gay teen gets sent to conversion therapy and ends up discovering themselves instead. That sounds pretty typical, but it really doesn't appear that often, and I think this film does a good job of that.
Well, and especially as this was, late 90s, early 2000s. From what I understand of that time period, I was 9 at the time, so I didn't watch a lot of movies like this because of the overt sexual tone. However, I don't think there were a lot of movies like this around that time, so I know that this was kind of iconic for people who identify in the LGBT community, for a lot of them anyways, just because it's kind of a, very, I feel seen kind of movie, or at least I would assume it is. I'm not part of that community, so I don't have that perspective, but I feel it is a good, positive portrayal of something that is horrible in society, if that makes sense.
I think throughout this film, all the characters are actually pretty hilarious, and there's a lot of recognizable faces in this movie. Because it's an older film, everyone's had 20 more years of their career at this point, and Megan is played by, what's her character's name on Orange is the New Black?
Nikki.
There's another Orange is the New Black actress in this film.
Is there?
Yeah, the softball player.
Oh.
She's crazy hair girl in Orange is the New
Black. I
Black.
didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. And you also have a guy who's on Runaways and a guy who plays Rufio in Hook.
Rufio! I got so excited when I saw him.
And I also realized he also voices Zuko in The Last Airbender. So there's a lot of recognizable faces, not including RuPaul, like, just there. And I think all of the characters are hilarious. I think the comedic timing is well done, and they all kind of get a chance to shine.
The tone of this movie, as I said earlier, is satirical and comedic. And the setting of it is something that would be really hard to watch with a different tone, with a, like, you know, like Pray the Gay Away, like, abusive tone. But this is done in a comedic effect, and even just the, like, visuals on this film, like, everything's very stylized. Like, the whole house looks like a Barbie dream house. And so it adds that fun element to it, and so you can kind of laugh at it, even though it's something that shouldn't be laughed at. It's very strange.
Yeah, even though this film was one that I've never heard of, and I don't think you had heard of it either.
I mean, I had heard of it, but I didn't know a whole lot about it.
I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know it existed. But I can see why it is important to the community, because it does portray something that honestly still happens. Like, there are still states where it is legal to still send kids off to conversion therapy, and people still think that that works. And a lot of, like, the hate messages in this, even though they're presented in a satirical way, are still messages that happen. And I think that this movie does a really good job of undermining that, but also in a quirky and funny way that I think it's rewatchable even today. It's still relevant even over 20 years after its release.
So I think it's safe to say that we both really enjoyed this movie as something that, like Steven said, is almost 20 years old and is just completely different vibe than the movies of today. Like, sometimes movies in that era you can watch in today's time period and be like, wow, that does not age well. But I think that this is something that's actually really enjoyable today, 20 years later, and it was something really a fun experience. So I recommend you guys check it out if you haven't.
Well, that is our review of But I'm a Cheerleader. Thank you again to Larry on LC Screen Talk for having us onto his channel and for letting us review a movie for him, and we will send it back over to him.
Thank you so much to Brittany and Steven for agreeing to participate in my Pride Month of movie reviews and for selecting But I'm a Cheerleader to come on and participate with. I really appreciate your advocacy and your allyship to the community and your enthusiasm to be a part of this series. It means so much to me. I'm very appreciative that you took the time out of your schedules to record your review and be a part of this series. So, if you are not already subscribed to the BS Reviews, what are you doing? Go ahead, head over to their channel, click subscribe, follow them over on Twitter, Instagram, all of the social medias. Those links will be provided down below. It's twice the review, so twice the fun. Get in on it. Now, for my thoughts on But I'm a Cheerleader. This is another first-time watch for me when it comes to this Pride Month series of reviews. There are a lot of classics within the community that I hadn't seen heading into the month. And when I saw this one, I knew it had to be included. This is the type of campy, fun film that I just gel with really well. But I was also a little bit afraid. The quality level looked real questionable to me heading in. So I was like, uh-oh, am I going to be able to have fun with this and get past the real low quality of it all? And the answer was yes. I definitely was able to get past it and was surprised, actually, by how much I was moved by the film by the end of it. So my first props definitely have to go to this cast because I think they are all spectacular. Natasha Lyonne is perfect for the lead role in this film. She is like big-eyed and innocent and just like, what? throughout the majority of the film. But she brings in quite a bit of heart that you're not really anticipating from the character. And I think she is the reason the end of this film has the emotional, like, little bit of heart butterflies that you get. Because she sells it. She brings that heart. She makes you fall in love with her character. And I thought she was great. Kathy Moriarty was fantastic in this movie. She was living it up, like, camp level to the max, but still so good. She's asked to say some real outrageous stuff, give some really crazy lines, but they're so good and they're just so natural coming from her in this film. I thought she was spectacular and really kind of steals the movie for me. Clea Duvall as Graham was really great as well. I thought she sold her character well. Part of it is because that's usually the character I've seen her in, the kind of like cool chick off in the back, a little bit punk rocker chick. But she really works it here. I loved Eddie Cibrian. First of all, I love that they played up his hotness because, hello. But of course, I love that they played up like his gay hotness as well in the film, being our main villain's son. It was really spectacular. And of course, I loved Mama RuPaul in this film. And I love that he played like a supposedly ex-gay man in the film. I love that Ru was able to really show off like his fun side and that he has all of this charisma. I thought he was great in pretty much all of the scenes he had. The only thing maybe I wish with RuPaul is that we would have had like an end scene where he comes out of the house as RuPaul. But I still think he was great, and I loved his interactions with Eddie Cibrian, where he's just like trying his best to just side-eye lust after him, but it's like, oh my gosh, it's too hot in here. But the film is a lot of fun. It is definitely tackling a lot of really deep issues. First of all, from a feminist standpoint, I think that is actually almost as prevalent as the whole homophobia issue. It's the feminism of it all and the outdated viewpoints of women in general when it came to this film, and I thought they tackled that beautifully well. But then we tackle the issue of homosexuality from pretty much every single angle you can think to tackle it from just straight up stereotypes and someone being like, look, I'm not actually a lesbian. I play softball. And I'm sorry I'm not pretty, but I like men. And nobody believing her. To the way that they figure out that she's a lesbian, starting with like tofu and being a vegetarian. It's like, well, alrighty then. Down to liking Melissa Etheridge and so on and so forth. But it was all just poking fun at the stereotypes that play into it all. Then, of course, we go into the whole molestation, and there had to be something in your past that made you homosexual. You weren't just born this way. Something turned you. And them just like digging and digging and digging, trying to find something. And the moment in like family therapy when they like accuse the father of being laid off of work, causing his daughter to become a lesbian. It's just, I mean, it's great. And we even have like actual conversion therapy, like shock therapy happening in this film. But it's all handled to a point where you get it and you get the horrificness of what it is that you're watching and how horrible conversion therapy is, but you're still having fun. And part of that is the drag community. As you can see RuPaul's influence on the things such as this. The fact that we can talk about real issues. We can get down to the nitty-gritty, but we're still going to have a good time. We're still going to make a ball of it all. We're still going to camp it up and really have fun with whatever message it is we're sending. That's kind of the profession of drag, and I think it really is exemplified here in a movie that really centers around a lesbian, and it is a more lesbian film than anything else. But it's campy, it's having fun, it's poking fun, it's making light of serious issues while still talking about those serious issues. And I think that's why this has become sort of a camp cult classic, not only with the LGBTQ community, but just the allied community as well who've seen it. It's a lot of fun. It is over the top. It is cheesy. That love story and that ending is super cheesy. But again, the actors sell it so well that it gets to you. You're like happy for the characters. You're invested in their plight throughout the film, as campy and as ridiculous as everything is. And then, of course, I love that the dad like kind of breaks free of our main character's mother to support his daughter. I thought that was actually a really lovely note to end on there. And really, the whole film just ends on such a lovely note because we are dealing with these kids being told they have to convert to being straight. And I think we end on a really happy, nice note. So for negatives, when it comes to this film, I mean, clearly it is a B-level film. Clearly it deserves to be in cult classic status because the filmmaking is not all great. And obviously, if you're not into these like over-the-top campy type comedies, you're not gonna go for it. You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna like it. Even if you are a member of the LGBTQ community. This is certainly no Moonlight or Brokeback Mountain or Carol. It's not in that caliber of filmmaking. And even when you look at other kind of campy drag films, it's even a little bit less in the filmmaking quality than most of those. And of course, I mentioned like the RuPaul aspect. I wish we had maybe even gone a step further. I wish the teacher maybe had just given in and grabbed one of the moms and like made out with her or something. Like, I feel like as campy and as ridiculous as it is, I kind of really was always on the edge of my seat hoping that we would even push it one step further. We'd get that one step extra level of campiness. And that's pretty ridiculous actually when you think of it, because we have a mother instructing her gay son how to thrust in an Adam and Eve sex scenario on top of another woman, and like starts getting hot and bothered talking about him entering her. I mean, it's super over the top and ridiculous, but in many ways, I mean, I guess maybe that's the drag fan of me. I wanted more big camp. I wanted more like costumey, over the top, dramatic, yes type of camp than it actually ends up delivering. But really, I think this is a super fun, super funny film. It's certainly an enjoyable film. One that is definitely worth checking out if you're a part of our community, if you're an ally to the community. I think you'll definitely find things to enjoy about it, and of course, there's a message to be had here. So once again, thank you so much to my friends over at the BS Review for joining in and participating in on this review with me. I so appreciate your support and your participation. And once again, make sure that you head on over to their channel and subscribe so that you are up to date with all of their movie and TV reviews, lists, rankings. They do a whole bunch of great things over on that channel. So make sure you're subscribed and following them. And since you're already here, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel so you're always up to date on our latest videos. As always, I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!